What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the OddsShopper channel, coming to you with a Thursday night football edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, but notification bell goes a long way for me on this video, goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Good times in the streets, in the NFL streets. Oh, baby. Tuesday was an absolute smash in the NBA streets. We'll see how Wednesday finishes out, but I'm recording this here late on Wednesday night, bringing you Thursday's Cleveland-Pittsburgh game. Can't wait to break this one down in its ins and outs and give you my three favorite plays, or the things that I'm looking at. I technically have three bets already on this one, but leans, that's something I'm thinking about betting. Likes, well, we got two of them here today, and they're, well, on the same guy. And the lock, one lock that we've got here on this game as well, it's going to come from the spread department, which I think some of you will be very happy to hear about because, well, we've been running eternally hot here in the NFL streets. Every primetime slate for the last 3 weeks has been a glorious smash. So let's keep that rolling here. Let's not jinx it. Knock on wood. All right, we're all set to go. Producer Jacob, without further ado, let's get to the picks. And let us begin. Pittsburgh, 3.5-point favorites heading into Cleveland. This one's for you. And Jameis Winston, the offense still found ways to be successful last week to some extent, but they were also trailing by $1 billion because Taysom Hill had his absolute... I mean, what can we even say about that Taysom Hill game? He broke everybody's fantasy. If you kept him on the bench, you're probably still not over it. Let me know in the comment section because it's kind of funny. But we have some ins and outs to go through here. First off, trades. Well, injuries. We've got a number of different things that we're looking on here, but Mike Williams, he is now on the Pittsburgh side of things. On a short week, though, I always get nervous about these new acquisitions. He got all of one target from Russell Wilson. In fact, we have the 2024 targets that we've got so far from him. George Pickens has had 33 of those puppies. Calvin Austin sitting at 16. Van Jefferson at 11. Pat Fryermuth at 10. Mike Williams, 1. We're going for 1. Oh, Darnell Washington, I forgot about him. He's got 12 as well. But we've got an interesting way that Pittsburgh can rotate these guys around. I think on a short week, though, against Cleveland, AFC matchup here, divisional opponent, I doubt we see a ton of Mike Williams in this spot, which kind of makes the consolidated targets, doesn't seem like the market's projecting it out the same way. And I don't know why, considering it's 3 days that you have in between then and now to get him involved in the game plan. And Aaron Rodgers sent him out on a rail, although Aaron Rodgers, not the best GM/coach I've ever seen in football, that's for sure. But I think what we've all seen recently is some incredible play by Russell Wilson. I don't think you can really dispute that. Mike Tomlin, 8-2 Pittsburgh Steelers. Maybe get some credit here on this season because sometimes I don't give him as much credit as he deserves. But the number one team that you could potentially be backing in all of football, 8-2 against closing spreads. What a time to be alive. Now, Eric, what do you think about that? Are you going to do something about it? Oh, my friends, we really will. Cleveland on the other side, not so fancy. 3-7 against the spread, 2-8 overall. They are basically looking forward to next year, but that is not without its qualms here, considering Cleveland gets Nick Chubb back. They really want to get Nick Chubb involved, and the guy's kind of been a carrier of the city here at times. Inspirational story coming back from injury in week 7, but has looked terrible through 4 weeks. I don't really know what to tell you. 3.1 yards per carry on the ground, only 41 yards per game. Everything from Nick Chubb has not necessarily lived up to the standard. And on a short week, you look at the Browns, they've got some injuries that still exist there, kind of all over the place. I mean, they have guys on IR and have been on IR forever. Bell, Watson, Wright. On the Steelers side, basically all IR. We're getting this pretty straight up as a spread. I don't think there's going to be any surprise injury news, but you do have to pay attention to David Njoku. He got dinged up, but he's off the injury report entirely as of Wednesday, so riddle me that, bad man. Should be good to go here for Jameis Winston, who has been kind of balling out himself when he's appeared in games. Over his last 3 starts, which are basically the only 3 starts, he came in relief duty against Cincinnati. 41-plus attempts in every single one through the air. And against New Orleans, still had a 106.7 passer rating. Looked decent in that regard, 395 yards through the air. But they were never remotely competitive. 35-14 lost there in New Orleans. Got to tell you, these are two teams trending in different directions. And I think if this game were in Pittsburgh, I was basically saying, home field advantage, or 3, work through the number. Started landing on some interesting plays where, Cleveland, the rush rate, the Taysom Hill explosive plays. Let's start there, shall we? Because one explosive type player who, again, if I knew if I knew that Mike Williams was just going to play not at all like he did last time out, I would be probably firing this up because these are pretty long numbers. In fact, we've seen a double touchdown output from this guy specifically this season. I'm talking about Calvin Austin on the offensive end. Now, defensive props, not necessarily my strong suit. I ran through a couple of different iterations on tackles and assists, tried to get something fancy in the lean department, at least for you. Too difficult to do here on a short week. I'm going to have to work on that one for the people. But Calvin Austin, anytime touchdown market has been crazy hot in the premium Discord and on this channel, just 20 chant to the moon. Calvin Austin's one of the longer plays that's showing up with positive EV for me in quite some time. Now, you can always look way down the board and find like plus 2,000 guys that maybe should be plus 1,200. And depending on your bankroll size, you can fire those up. But I haven't fired this one yet at plus 700 purely because it's a short week. I'm just nervous that somehow, some way, maybe Mike Williams was put in bubble wrap to be utilized here against a Cleveland team that is giving up explosive play after explosive play. But it's kind of what Calvin Austin does. Punt returner extraordinaire, finds ways to get things done. Also know the rules of your book. If you're betting Calvin Austin, you want to make sure that that doesn't count as a defensive touchdown in the event that he scores in a punt return fashion. I'm not saying that that's the most likely outcome because it's not. But he's one of the guys who's done it so far this season, so it'd be nice to have that little perk sitting in your pocket here. BetMGM, that would be just fine with me here. 2 tutties on the season, both in that same game, which I find to be just kind of, oh no, they were different games. But one being a punt return, so yeah. Has 2 receiving touchdowns on the season. Giants, week 8, and it was the Chargers, week 3, so go Calvin Austin. All right, let's get to the actual plays, the things that aren't completely crazy. Najee Harris has looked really good here as well, underneath with Russell Wilson underneath center. Not crazy surprising to me, although, Russell Wilson has looked much better than anybody could have anticipated, that I certainly anticipated coming into this season. But it's leading way to some still inefficiencies. Now, Najee Harris, 18 carries for 63, 3.5 yards per carry. Against Washington, 21 carries for 53 yards, 2.5 yards per carry. It's not the best stuff. And now we're starting to see Jaylen Warren mixed in more and more and more. And there are ways on the road where you want to get that passing attack going. And Jaylen Warren is certainly your passing game back here. Najee Harris is still mixed in enough over the course of this season. And the last 3 weeks, he's had 2 games where he's been targeted 4+ times, had 7 catches in the last 3, had 0, got completely blanked against Washington. But I still think Jaylen Warren is the guy that you want out in those situations. Plus, look at his efficiency numbers. 9 carries for 41 yards, 4.6 yards per carry, 14 carries against Washington for 66 and a lion's share of snaps in that one, 4.7 yards per carry, 5.1 yards per carry against the Giants. We're talking explosive play potential. And if anybody watched Cleveland last week giving up 70-yarders to Taysom Hill, absolutely everything. Alvin Kamara came a fingertip like fumble-rooski away from bringing one to the house in vertical fashion as well. I think Jaylen Warren's in an awesome spot to smash here. Yes, it's in Cleveland. It's on the road. It's not exactly the Dome down in New Orleans taking on that porous defense, but Cleveland, oh yeah, they're also a terrible defense themselves. I very much am here for Jaylen Warren anytime touchdown at plus 275 at BetMGM and longest rush over 13.5 yards. I have a larger play on that one. So let me just repeat because I like to explain what I have going here in certain things. I have a quarter unit on Jaylen Warren currently. I could add that a little bit more and maybe have a full unit on him overall. And then I went to the half unit on Jaylen Warren, longest rush over 13.5. And that one is played over at FanDuel. So check those out. Before we get over to the lock section and talk about my favorite play from this game, the full unit set, and let's talk about tails. You have an opportunity to sign up for my premium Discord. We have Pick'em on the left. We have Sportsbooks on the right. And once you know it, Rebet at the bottom as well, available in 46 of the 50 states. But a lot of you haven't signed up there. That's a pretty easy, low-hanging piece of fruit. And it's not that expensive to sign up at any of these spots. DraftKings Pick 6, $5. You bet $5, you get 50. Bet 365, you bet 5, you get 150 if it's available in your state. BetMGM, FanDuel, DraftKings. I know a lot of you probably have all of the sites there, but I want you signed up at as many places as possible because having choices is having power as a bettor. So check it out. And excuse me, just about coughed and sneezed at the same time. Head to the comment section below, sign up at the link, and follow these 4 simple, easy steps. Take screenshots of your welcome email and first settled bet to support at OddsShopper.com. And you'll get Lindy's locks. That is me for free for 1 month. Would love to see you there. Alrighty, y'all. Oh, that's only if you're 21 and over. If you have a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Let's get to the lock, shall we? Let's talk the transitive property, because strength of schedule is something that I think is very, very valid this time of year. It's always a small sample sport. You're always going to feel very, very foolish when you're late to things in football where it's just so obvious. And then there's things that are just hard to quantify, which is the hook. The hook here is so unbelievably hard to quantify at times. Pitt -3 would be a slam dunk, send it to the absolute moon, like more than a unit type play. This half point is still going to be something that I'm willing to embrace, and here's kind of why. We've got strength of schedule for both of these guys. The Pittsburgh Steelers, 23rd. Cleveland, 21st. And obviously, Deshaun Watson was playing at the worst rate of anybody in football, period. Jameis Winston, well, everybody's seeing how good the Denver defense is. That's the one time that he struggled. I think we can give him a little bit of a break for that. However, there's just this Jekyll and Hyde that exists with Jameis Winston. And I think a guy like Mike Tomlin with this specific defense, I mean, we are looking at unbelievable pieces in Hayward on the edge, in Watt on the edge, on the outside linebacker spot. I mean, we are looking at one of the best defenses in football here. You got Landon Roberts just playing out of his freaking mind here. Snap share going up. Only played 31 snaps last week. But my God, I love this defensive front. I don't know how you don't. You got Minkah Fitzpatrick roaming the desert back there. He's coming the desert. I guess that was the joke. I missed it. Deshaun Elliott. Every time I look at anything on PFF and look at some of the evaluations on these guys, I continue to be impressed. And don't get me wrong, we have a really good offensive line there on the left side, on the Pittsburgh side of things, with Russell Wilson and Najee Harris, who's 14th amongst 63 active running backs right now, or graded running backs in PFF grading. George Pickens, obvious rapport here with Russell Wilson. His numbers are steamed up to a place where it's basically under or pass for me at this point in time. However, I still think the Pittsburgh side finds enough success. Just bet -3.5 on the Pittsburgh side of things. That's basically what I wanted to get at here. I clicked on the wrong thing here. I think Myles Garrett, considering how insanely good he is, I'm willing to roll the dice that they can find a way to double team him and make him ineffective in this game. That is the one guy on the Cleveland side who really freaks me out. Denzel Ward won't necessarily line up out there opposite of Pickens, and Pickens should be able to take it off of Emerson here. They are inflated numbers. Again, I'm not going to be betting the Pickens side of things, but Pittsburgh, -3.5. That half point, I'm willing to give it up here purely because in a vacuum, you just basically see the Pittsburgh team finding ways to win close football games against everybody, and Cleveland still, despite what we've seen, finding ways with Cedric Tillman and Elijah Moore and so on and so forth. They are not the football team that Pittsburgh is at this point in time. Give me that defense we just saw shut down, I believe, a top 3 football team, period, in the NFL in Baltimore last week. Keep it rolling here in Cleveland. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks in the NFL Showdown Streets. Check it out. Hit the like button. Let me know your favorite plays that exist on the board for this lovely little slate we have before us. Let's try to keep the primetime goodness rolling, shall we? Thank you, producer Jacob. I'm out of here. Until next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NFL streets on Thursday Night Football.